Thank you for coming to our first Speak Out Reach Out of the spring semester. We are delighted to have Emily Herber talking with us today. If you want to find more about our program, you should check our little article on the Carthage website, because it's really awesome. Otherwise, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming, and let's give her a nice welcome.
Okay. 20% of teens will suffer from depression. I was diagnosed in February 2009, and it has affected my life every aspect. My life will never be the same again. I often struggle with feeling like my life will never be the same because however, I have learned a lot about myself and life from my experiences. Through the last couple of years, I have learned I don't have to hold any emotion. It was November 24th, 2008, my 16th birthday, when my life completely fell apart. I sat in a locker room after a rough basketball game, crying, ashamed of my life, and confused. I sat there on that floor planning my suicide for that very night. It was the first of many rock bottoms. After a friend convinced me to live that night, I tried to manage my depression. It was usually 2 days of happiness followed by 3 to 4 days of depression. On the happy days, I ran around, ate good food, and hung out with friends. Then on my sad days, I would remind myself of my routine, and I would let myself do what I had to do. I let myself become depressed instead of fighting it all the way. More importantly, my disguise of being okay was revealed. If I was tired, I slept. If I was mad, the world knew. It was almost a way of coping, almost accepting my life the way it was. Even though I was coping, it was a daily struggle. The intense feeling of hopelessness made it almost impossible to enjoy anything. The good days were a blur. Before I knew it, I had 5 suicidal thoughts that almost became real. I could not manage anymore. The world was such a big place, and I, being part of it, seemed so insignificant. I wondered, would I be saved? I mourned the death of my old life, and I dreamed of having it. I was so unstable at some points I feared myself. I feared that I would commit suicide or harm myself in another way. I feared doing bad things that I would regret. I often argued with my brain about best how to live. I found out later I really didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. When I stopped managing my feelings and I started to feel the entire world, school became horrible. I often would sleep through an entire class. My grades were suffering, I had no social life, and I was hurting. Sleep seemed like the only cure, the only thing that made me feel safe. I was able to struggle through classes. In math class, I was put right next to the teacher. She had to constantly remind me to pay attention. I would stare at the board and 20 minutes would go by without me noticing. The teacher called my depressive persona Bob. She would ask me who was in class that day. It was sort of a joke, but early on she noticed that I was not my energetic self. I struggled with basic math problems. The notes would be right in front of me and I would not be able to comprehend it. I could not understand simple things because I felt so down. Thinking required so much work that I could not do it for long periods of time. I found out that around 1 p.m. my energy ran out. I fell asleep in class every day. 3 to 4 days a week, I was sleeping for more than half the period. The teacher would wake me up, and I would not be able to stay awake. I wasn't trying to disobey. I just physically could not keep my eyes open. I felt bad. I missed so much class. On the days I was awake, I was irritable in every class. I couldn't understand how people were so happy, while I was in so much pain. I lashed out multiple times. I didn't have any good reasons to do so. Our relationship suffered. I couldn't stand people for more than a few minutes before wanting them to go away. I pushed people away. In my bio class, my classmates didn't get the concepts as fast as I did, and I got mad at them. They were stupid, I thought. I was frustrated. I was frustrated with my life. People suffered because of me. When I had to have good behavior, I faked it. I was a part of a class that taught preschool. I plastered a big smile on my face. I spoke in such a fake voice, but people believed me. Before I would walk to the preschoolers, I'd push all depression away and make sure I looked acceptable. It was a struggle, but I had friends whose energy I fed off of. After struggling in school for months, I found a counselor in March. She was not helpful at all. She only told me that I had depression, but she failed to help me with it. She did, however, bring the possibility of medication to the table. She thought that talk therapy was not strong enough to help me get over this. She noted that my situation needed more attention, the type of attention that medication would bring me. I would have to have my brain stabilized with medication. She warned me that they may not work, but I was too excited to start them. I knew that something drastic had to happen, or else I would lose my life. A week before the appointment with the psychologist, I fell apart. School was terrible that day. More terrible than usual. I told myself and some friends I would not be coming to school the next day. I would be taking the day off. This scared them, and someone called my mother. I didn't go to school the next day, and I ended up in the emergency room. I can't be sure if at that time I wanted to die or I wanted the day off. I was sent home after clarifying that I wanted the day off. I was given sleeping medication. By this point, everyone who knew me knew that I was in some serious trouble. The possibility of losing me became real. The next week, I went to a psychologist. I was told I was in a deep depression. I was at a point where she wanted to put me in an outpatient recovery program. By this time, it was May and finals were approaching. My mother chose not to do that. The doctor talked about how much medication she was going to put me on. I was put on 10 milligrams of Lexapro, which is a very high dose, and sent home. The weeks to follow were good. I don't remember a specific time, but waking up each day was easier. I slowly started to wake up and see life again. The medication did not make me numb to the world. It helped me get through the days. I was able to be awake more. I was able to concentrate more. I started to do better on my homework and study more. I went out for the first time in months. I was able to have friends. I talked to people. I was less irritable. I had feelings again. The depression had numbed me for months. I didn't know the difference between happy and sad. Feeling again was almost unbearable at first. I didn't know how to react. I smiled a couple times. I felt better about myself. I stopped wearing sweats constantly. When I was put on the happy pill, my life started to improve. At first, I feared that happiness would be only temporary and that it would come back. I embraced life, finding happiness in the littlest things, but that didn't last too long. The first day I felt sad. I was so mad. I thought, everything's supposed to be good now. What did I do to deserve this? I then realized I was never going to be the same again. Life was different. The medication could only partially fix the problem. It couldn't make me happy 24/7. When I was sad, it wasn't just normal sad. It was depressive sadness. Fatigue, lack of appetite, and feeling helpless were what my sad days were full of. I still have depressive days, and there's a good chance I will have them for the rest of my life. Depression is a disease with no cure. I can go into depression remission. I might go months without feeling depressed at all. The possibility of me never becoming depressed again is slim. I will be on my medication until I get out of college. The doctors fear that college, with all of its stress, could trigger a depressive episode. However, I am now suicide-free and I continue to improve my life. I'm in therapy to work through life's issues and I take my medication religiously. I've learned that you can never give up hope. I've always had hope somewhere inside me and it helped me survive. After gaining control over this disease, I began to accomplish more than I could have ever thought. I spent my senior year reconnecting with a teacher from my sophomore year and she was amazed about the difference I made. I had so much energy and excitement for life that she recommended I become the school mascot. I did. I would parade around with so much excitement that no one would have been able to guess that I was depressed a month earlier. I graduated high school with a 4.9 on a 5.0 scale. Everything was great. I was given the most memorable award in the senior class. Even after everything, I was alive. The biggest change in my life would have been college. When I was in high school, it seemed so impossible. Now I am in my second semester of college. I've made friends. I was worried about having to get up for class, but I can say I only missed 5 classes last semester. I have a 3.0 GPA. Last summer, I was able to hold down a job. Every day I was able to work with customers and not have to fake it. I was able to contribute to society. I was able to babysit children and not be irritated by every move that they would make. I think being alive is my biggest accomplishment. I was unable to see past a week, and now I see 10 years in my future. I am a crucial member of society again. I am no longer the kid who was worthless. Now that I am a crucial member of society, I foster deep appreciation for everything in life. I love the flowers and the changing leaves. I love looking at the lake in awe. I often find myself looking around in awe that I am here and experiencing life. I'm alive. Appreciating life for me starts at the micro level. Every day I wake up and notice small things around me. Whether it is the lake or the sun, I notice them. I don't walk to class with my headphones on. I am more alert to things going on around me. I notice the animals, the way the trees are, the different people rushing to and from places. I'm fixated on the squirrels on campus. Most people don't notice them, but I find myself stopping each time I see them. I watch them eat, I watch their ears move, I watch them play in the trash. They're just a part of everyday life, but to me, they represent a life without worries. I don't try to overschedule myself. Besides going to class, everything else is optional. If I'm tired, I sleep. If I feel like going rollerblading, and I am, I go. I find that I am so much more relaxed when I don't have things to stick to. I try to avoid setting alarms for anything besides class. If I don't make an event commitment If I don't make an event, meeting, etc., so what? There are bigger things to worry about in life. If I do make a commitment, I do make sure that I'm present. But in general, everything is always up in the air. I've got this attitude. Whatever happens, happens. Good or bad. Things won't be bad forever, so just accept the bad things and move on. The biggest advice that I would give to someone who is suffering from mental illness or thinking about suicide is to get help. If I didn't get help, I would not be standing here today. Life will not magically improve. Getting help does not make you weak. It actually makes you strong. You're admitting that you have a problem and that you want to change it. I know for a fact if I had not gotten help, I would not be standing here today. I wouldn't be here enjoying all that life has to offer.
Thank you, Emily. Does anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask Emily?
You mentioned involvement from your mom, but how did your family react to everything that was going on in your life?
They actually didn't believe that I had it until I was hospitalized. They thought it was just fake.
How did, them not realizing or not believing that you had it, how did that make you feel? Did that make you want to get help more? Did it increase your depression? How did you handle that?
It probably increased my depression because your family's supposed to understand you, and since they didn't get it, who else, why would anyone else understand?
Anybody else have any other questions? All right, well, if you guys